we're going to be playing some Vampire the Masquerade. This campaign is called Creatures Such as We, and this is a campaign that I've been running for a while as a podcast over on my podcast channel. And we have Britt here tonight, who's really keen to join my vampire game.
Yeah, I
And
can't
so
wait.
we're gonna run her through a one-on-one session to get a feel for her character, to learn a little bit about the world that this is set in, and make sure that when she joins us in the proper game, that she feels comfortable and isn't just being dropped in the deep end. And about a week or two ago, we created Brit's character, and we did a short session where she woke up as a vampire for the first time, went on her first hunt, met a friendly face, and then retired in a cramped little broom closet of an old church on a mattress on the floor, just as the sun rised for the first time. So tonight we're going to be playing out what happens when she awakens and begins her second night as a member of the undead.
Hey,
So
Miko.
before
Hey, Zach. Sorry.
everyone, so before we begin, why don't you go ahead, Britt, and introduce the viewers to your character? Tell us what her name is, a little bit about her, and what she can be found wearing.
Oh, I get to go through the fun shit. Fuck yeah. Okay, so my character is Evelina Ashford. She is a mixture between Lady Dimitrescu and Wednesday Adams from the Adams family. Hi, how is everyone going? You guys get to actually exit the basement today. Heck yeah. Um, She is very much old in a way. She loves wearing the olden time dresses. So you can imagine if you guys remember, if for those who have seen when Wednesday from the Addams Family in that one particular TV show, she wears this gorgeous black dress to a dance, and that's basically all of my character. That's all she
Yeah,
bloody wears.
she she woke up in a dumpster in an alleyway, drained somebody, stumbled through a Labor Day festival, got accosted in a park, and all the time she was looking very stylish doing it.
And then I sucked the blood of two lovely people in the alleyway.
Yes. You've taken to the life of a vampire very quickly, but tonight you're going to learn there's a bit more to it than just hunting and keeping yourself fed.
Which is
So,
fine.
you don't remember falling asleep, but you do remember fragments of the dreams you have during the day. Flashes of a life that is no longer yours. Your father's face beaming down at you, the grandiose dining room of your family's manor with a grand meal on the table, partying with friends, living it up on a yacht in some foreign locale, your family's yacht bobbing on the azure blue waves. All of that is gone. And as you awaken, still on the cold, hard mattress on the floor of Father Simon Estler's parish, your mind whirls with the images of last night. You remember the partygoers in the park, the conversation with Father Simon, the feeling of your fangs in mortals' throats, and the taste of blood on your lips. You barely have time to collect your thoughts, however, when the door opens. A shaft of light spills into the room, and you recognize Father Simon's voice. Miss Ashford, if you please, get up and get yourself ready. Your audience with the Baron awaits.
Oh, darling, come on. We just woken up. It's been a long night.
He calls from somewhere out of the closet, in somewhere in the church proper. Some of us rouse themselves later than others. I've always ascribed to the school of thought that the early bird catches the worm. The sun went down about half an hour ago, and as soon as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, I was up and at it. I've already made the necessary phone calls. I've already made the necessary arrangements. All you need to do is make yourself presentable. At this point, he appears in the doorway and he looks down at you while you're still sitting there, sprawled on the mattress. He takes in the sight of your lopsided dress and the flecks of blood over your collar and face, and he says, your fashion is appropriate, but, you know, bit of TLC, fix your hair, readjust your clothes, scrub your face, you'll be good to go. He flashes a thumbs up. As he turns away, he says, come and find me in the prayer room at the back when you're ready, and we'll discuss what needs to be done next. Oh, and, you should be feeling the hunger any moment now. I understand you fed particularly well last night, but the beast always hungers for more. He gives you a wink, and then he glides away into the darkness, and as you pull yourself up off the mattress, your stolen blood begins to pump through your languid veins, animating your dead body. And that's when I'll get you to make the first roll of tonight. In Vampire, whenever a vampire awakens for the first time every night, there's always a chance that they'll get hungrier. You're at hunger 0 from last session. Let's see if that stays how it is. Go ahead and roll me a rouse check, and that is, of course, a D10 on its own. 6 or above means you do not get hungrier.
I was going to say, you may have to remind me of what the dice
Don't worry, I'm way ahead of you.
I rolled a 9.
A 9. Do not get hungrier. You remain at hunger 0. And as you feel the blood forcing itself through your veins, animating languid organs, giving vibrance and life to your corpse-like body, you feel that familiar rumbling in the back of your mind, the growling ever-present of the beast as a slight pang of hunger shoots down your spine. You're comfortable right now, it says. Warm and comfortable. The best position to learn how to hunt, to learn to take more, always more.
Thinking to herself, oh, I'm not very comfortable. I will say that everything's a mess. She's like trying to pull her dress back so it's actually looking pretty again. Trying to organize her hair because her hair's a mess.
Her hair. Yeah, you crawl out of the closet into the church proper, and there's a grimy mirror behind the altar, and you're just standing there trying to fix your hair, pull up the hem of your dress, straighten the bodice, and you dip your hand into a basin of holy water, splash it over your face to wash the blood away. And let's see how presentable you end up looking. Go ahead and make me a composure plus either etiquette or performance roll for me, please.
You know, do etiquette because that's my highest anyway.
Yeah.
And it was just the 5d10 then.
Yep. You are at hunger 0, so there's no hunger dice involved here.
Rolled a 0, so rolled a 10, rolled a 9.
Very nice. It's at least
And
2 successes there.
It is only 2.
2 successes? Well, you don't have a lot to work with. You don't have access to your wardrobe. There isn't a proper bathroom in the church. You're making do with what you have, and luckily, Evelina is a naturally very pretty, very fashionable person. So even though you're not at your best, once you've fixed your hair and your dress, you look far more presentable than the average person off the street. More than enough to at least let the Baron know that you're not just another fresh-faced nobody, you think.
Considering I don't have any spare change of clothes or the amenities that I'm used to having, then I guess this will just have to do.
And so you stride into the room at the back of the church where all the plastic chairs are arranged, where the faded inspirational posters and Bible verses still hang on the wall. And Father Estler looks up as you approach. He opens his mouth, ready perhaps to praise how well you've cleaned up, and then he's cut off mid-sentence as a clock strikes somewhere in the depths of the church. Ding! 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 Father Simon cocks his head as though listening to something outside, and then after a few moments, he stands. Don't resist, he says quietly, holding up a hand. You might be able to fight your way free, but they will simply call you to them. Blood calls to blood. Before you can ask him what he means, however, a loud knock sounds at the back door.
And what
Father.
exactly is this?
Father Simon glides across the room. He opens the door and moves out of the way to allow another man into the room. This man is wearing tattered denim jeans and a white stained shirt. Although you can barely see any of this under the thick trench coat he wears. His body is very large, his build very stocky, his face is flecked with wild-looking blonde hair, and you can see, just under the brim of his coat, the handle of a very large woodcutter's hatchet. You stare into the man's face, and he looks maybe 20 years old, quite young, but as he bares his fangs, you realize that he, too, is one of the kindred. He could conceivably much older. The flare of primal fear you felt when you first met Father Simon returns, but this time it is much, much stronger. As this strange man stares you down, the beast in the back of your mind urges you to get away, to turn and run from this obvious predator. And I'm going to put a picture of him up in Owlbear Rodeo so you can see the countenance before you.
Is this Baron or is this one?
You don't know. Would you like to greet him as if he were the Baron?
Not quite. I kind of want to know who he is before I'm greeting him.
Do you give in to the beast's instinct? Do you turn and run, or do you try to steel yourself and appear dignified before him?
Well, considering I was asked to be a little bit dignified, and she is not one to really run away unless she is threatened, and because he was invited in and not immediate threatening her, then I'm not going to run.
Takes a few seconds for you to push the beast's protestations into the back of your mind, and then you step forwards quietly, carefully, standing before this man, meeting his gaze with your own.
Hello.
He looks. He smiles as you greet him, and then as he smiles, you see not only does he have fangs, but that each of the teeth in his mouth is pointed, razor sharp, the tips flecked with dried blood. He chuckles as he turns to the priest. She's the one? Yes, she is. I found her before she could get out, before she could cause any considerable damage, and she has demonstrated that she can compose herself. There is no need for your axe, Mr. Pierce. I'll be the judge of that, says the blonde-haired man as he hefts the great axe out of its holster, slams the flat of the blade into an outreached palm, and simply stands there silently studying you for a few moments. Slam, The flat of the axe blade hits his palm again as he beams a wide, cruel smile at you. And he says, So you're Emmeline's progeny, are you?
I don't know who that is, but if you say so, then sure, and she's gonna take one step closer.
Mean to cause problems for Baron Wild, do ya? He says, slamming the axe blade into his palm again.
Problems? What problems have I caused so far?
Well, according to Father Simon here, nothing as of yet, but given your sire's reputation, he raises the blade, holds it above his head, and then brings it down, cutting the air in front of you, stopping short about an inch from the front of your torso.
I was hoping you were going to do that. She'll run
What
her
do you
hand
do?
up his blade and take, like, just slowly step closer to him. Well now, sir. You may be from the Baron, right? Well, I'm not here to cause trouble, and I'm not one to do so.
Go ahead and make me a, shall we say, charisma plus persuasion or subterfuge roll.
Oh, you know what one I have to go through.
Yeah, go ahead.
100%. That one's definitely a subterfuge.
See how many successes you get.
2 so far.
2? I'll add those 2 to the 2 you
3.
got previously when you were
4.
gussing yourself up. 3.
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. Add that to the 2 you got before when you were making yourself presentable, and that makes 6 successes altogether, which is enough to beat his 5 successes. As he tries to step back, tries to wrench the axe blade from your hands, and tries not to let himself fall for your charm. And you can sense that he desperately wants to get away, but he doesn't. Instead, he just watches, stand silent and still as your fingers crawl up the handle of the axe blade and then run along the hem of his trench coat. He clears his throat, stepping back, and slides the axe back into the holster. He flashes you a broad smile. Well, you have confidence, at least. Didn't piss yourself and run the moment I stepped into the room. And let me tell you, the only people who do that are those who know their place, or those who are too stupid to understand how little they mean to the Baron and myself.
Oh, you didn't seem to reject it, so...
He throws out a hand. His skin is leathery, pockmarked in dirt, and he says, I'm Alexander Pierce, and I am Baron Wild's troubleshooter, for want of a better word.
I'll also reach out in the greetings and then go, Evelina Ashford. Nice to be of acquaintance.
Ashford, he says, raising an eyebrow. Indeed. Oh. Emmeline sought to cause as much trouble as she possibly could, selecting not just someone to embrace without authorization, but the scion of a great, powerful, and old family that commands a lot of sway in this city. This is very interesting indeed, and perhaps fate has a sense of humor, he says. Back in the days of the gold rush, I was familiar with your ancestor, Ebenezer Ashford.
Really now?
Did some favors for him, he did some for mine. He never understood my true nature, of course, but he was always very useful. And indeed, if his blood courses through your veins, then I believe you will be very useful yourself. He
Well, I
meets
would hope so.
eyes. Go ahead, go
I
ahead.
said, well, I would hope so. I'm not here to really cause trouble. It's not like I chose to be this.
Indeed. Indeed, and the Baron will be the judge of that. He exchanges a glance with the priest, who shrugs, and then he says, Father Simon here informed us last night of your creation, and the Baron has been very eager to speak to you. We anticipated some potential trouble, which is why I was sent to fetch you, but I believe my presence shall not be necessary for you to behave yourself. Am I correct in this assessment?
Oh, behave is some word. How much of the behaving does a vampire be able to do in the long run?
That is what the Baron seeks to impart. You're very new to this. I understand how confusing it must be.
Not really, darling. Not really. It's not that confusing. You sleep, you eat, you do as you're told.
You do as you're told, indeed, he says. That is what is most important. And the others, well, the others will become much easier when the Baron likes you and isn't trying to run you out of town. So he nods in acknowledgement to the priest and then turns around, walking towards the still open door, and he beckons for you to follow. Come, Miss Ashford.
Sure, why not? She follows.
Give one last look to the priest before you step through the door, and he shrugs and smiles. There's something in the look on his face that silently wishes you good luck and farewell. And then you step out into the cold night. You follow Alexander as he makes his way across the road, his heavy boots crunching on the asphalt. And there, parked on the opposite side of the street, is an old-fashioned automobile. One of those old cars from the turn of the century where it's got a big metal grille and looks like you could throw a nuclear bomb at it and barely make a dent in the bodywork. There are all sorts of weird gothic little attachments to the grille and to the window frames and to the boot, little gremlins and bats and smiling demon faces.
What exquisite taste you have there, sir.
Oh, well, I'll be sure to tell the Baron, he says. It's his. I don't usually drive, but we have quite a way to go, and I did not feel like escorting a hungry fledgling on foot through the city.
Oh, I'm sure it wouldn't have been a problem. A little feed on the way wouldn't have been an issue.
He takes a step towards the car and he reaches out to open one of the doors, but just as his hand touches the handle, he jumps, immediately leans forwards, silently staring from left to right. He reaches for the handle of his axe. He looks over his shoulder and he says, "Do you hear that?" Go ahead for me and roll me a wits awareness check, please.
Wits awareness. So 4. 1, 2, 3. 3 passes.
3 passes. As soon as he says it, you hear it. The sound of something rustling. The sound of the old musty planks of wood in the roof of the church bend and snap as some weight moves over them. Alexander, moving in a blur, fishes the hatchet out and branches it, ready to defend himself. And then you see an unusually large black bat flittering down from one of the spires of the church, its wings extended to their full length in the night air. This bat is at least twice the size of any you're familiar with, and its eyes seem to gleam a bright yellow in the night. And it seems to be making a beeline straight for you, and as it descends in the middle of the street, Alexander steps calmly forward, hefts his axe blade up into the air, ready to strike it.
I'm gonna stop
Stay
him.
back, he says.
No, I'm stepping in front. How
Stepping
about you stay back? He's gorgeous.
Go ahead and make me a charisma or composure plus persuasion check, please.
Oh, I'm good at those. Jesus, that's a 6.
Indeed, you are. 6 success. Well,
No,
6 to
6
roll. We'll see if you
roll.
get 6 successes.
I got 4 successes.
4 successes. That beats his 3. He's very nearly on it. He's raising the blade up in the air, and if you were a second later, he'd cleave that bat clean in two. You step forwards, moving in a blur, and interpose yourself between him and the creature, holding your arms out wide. He smiles. Oh? And then he watches as the bat descends, and a look of surprise dawns on his face as the bat does not move to attack you, but rather flitters down, hovers in front of you for a moment.
I'll put my hand out.
As you hold out your hand, it cautiously watches your face, and then, to the complete surprise of Alexander Pierce at least, his mouth dropping into a wide gape, the bat lands on your outreached hand. You feel its sharp, talon-like claws digging into your skin, and as you look down into its tiny face, its gleaming yellow eyes, you see that the tip of its snout is painted red with blood.
Ooh.
It followed you back here last night, says Pierce. A hungry bottom feeder. Must have drank some of the blood you had on you when you came through. I'll get rid of it, he says, raising the blade again.
Oh, no, you will not. You will not touch him.
Then what? He says, stopping, leaning back against the car, amused.
He is gorgeous.
You wish to take him as a pet, do you?
Indeed.
Well, this shall be interesting, then. He seems to have taken a liking to you, but if he's had a taste for your blood, then there's only one thing on his mind right now. His eyes meet your bare wrist, and then he nods. Go on, then. Make him your pet.
I'll do so.
You raise your wrist to your fang, pierce the skin, and let a single drop of blood roll down your pale skin. Go ahead and make a rouse check for me to see if you get hungrier. Any vampire can turn any mortal creature into a ghoul, but in order to do so, they must feed them a rouse check's worth of blood.
I failed on that one.
You get to hunger 1. The hunger die will now be a part of your rolls. As the blood rolls down your wrist, the beast protests. No! No, it is precious. Why give it away?
Why not?
The bat's pink little tongue comes out and licks the drop of blood away. Its eyes flash bright red, and then it looks up at you, satisfied, and then coils its wings around its body, settling itself on your shoulder, comfortable, content. And in this moment, as you look at the bat, you see through its eyes. In your mind's eye, you can see your own face, indistinct, incorporeal, little more than a vaguely human-shaped mass of colours and shades peering down at it. And you realise that that gift of blood connected you.
What a good boy. I'm gonna give him a little scratch.
As you scratch him, he throws back his head, inviting you to scratch just under his neck. He doesn't make any sound, but he doesn't move either. He doesn't unfurl his wings. He doesn't struggle. He doesn't try to get away. He just lets you stroke him, scratch him, and then when you're finally done and you pull your finger away, he nuzzles his head against the back of your hand, returning your affection. Alexander is smiling broadly, clearly amused. Wow.
Isn't he gorgeous?
If you say so. See, I was never one for animals myself, but if you have the gift of the blood that allows you to make use of them, then I shall not begrudge you your decision. After all, we are all nothing without our pawns, our thralls, our asset.
I think he's gorgeous. Perfect. What we want.
There's a click as Alexander pulls the car door open and gestures for you to take a seat inside. He says, keep his claws and his byproduct off the leather, if you please, else the Baron will be most upset.
I promise he'll be a good boy, and I'll run my hand down Alexander's chest as I'm getting into the car.
Feel his body shudder as your finger rolls down his chest, and then wordlessly he clambers into the car and hunches over the wheel. He motions for you to get in and shut the door behind him.
Obviously I get in.
Do you get in? Do you take the back seat, or do you slide into the passenger seat next to Alexander?
Passenger seat? Come on now.
He rolls his eyes, shrugs, as he feels you slide into the seat next to him. Then he clears his throat as he turns the key in the ignition and the engine roars to life. And the car glides slowly through downtown Buckley, through the entertainment district, through the CBD, past the nightclubs and bars and casinos, until it passes over one of the winding creeks that separates the old town from the new town, and a sign glides by reading Lakeside. The tall buildings, the bars, the clubs are instantly replaced with manor houses and old heritage-listed buildings, libraries, antique stores, upscale, upmarket restaurants, most of them quiet and dark at this time of night. And you realize you're being taken to you're being taken to one of the grandest properties in the city. This suburb, Lakeside, is very old and very rich. Your family's own manor is here, but the car is driving you further north up into the hills, close to the Barnong Lake, where the houses are so grand, so old, so magnificent that even to your family, they are impossible commodities, things that will never be achieved.
What a beautiful establishment.
Alexander grunts in acknowledgement. Fancy, sure. But will it keep you safe when the chips are down? Well, the Baron seems to think so, but I'm not so sure. All these houses with all these entries, all these windows, all this open space, it just feels like you're asking for trouble. You ask me, no, I've never had much affinity for the habits and homes of the rich. Give me a flat, give me a miner's shack, give me a place where I can be sure I'm the master of my dominion.
Well, I'm sure if you have enough people working for you, it wouldn't be a problem in the end anyway.
Eventually, Alexander turns into a long driveway at the end of a street. At the end of this long driveway is a low hill that sits on the shore of the Barnong wetlands, the inky black water sparkling in the moonlight behind it. And at the top of the hill is a grand manor house, at least 3 floors tall, its facade covered in stained glass windows and ornate Gothic carvings, wrought iron spikes, palisades, and spires adorning the edges. The Baron's residence, says Alexander with a flourish, as he reaches the end of the driveway, turns the key in the ignition, and the car lurches to a stop.
I'm gonna roll down the window and ask the bat to survey.
Xander watches curiously as you wind down the window, turn to the bat, and utter a command. Survey. The bat meets your eyes, and then it unfurls its wings and takes off into the night. I'd
Good
like
boy.
you to go ahead and make me a charisma plus animal ken roll. And you have 1 hunger dice in that pool. So that means you replace 1 regular die with a hunger die.
Yeah, let me just bring up that dice page that you gave me.
I'll give you the link if you don't have it.
I have it, so good. So it's just charisma?
Awesome. Yep. So just charisma if you don't have any animal ken.
2 successes.
2 successes.
1 red, 1 black.
Yeah, but luckily neither of them are criticals, and so the beast does not interfere. You watch as the black shape is illuminated against the full moon, and then it darts behind one of the tall spires on the manor house and out of sight. Will you wait for it to return, or will you do as Alexander is doing, standing up, climbing out of the car, and walking briskly to the thick wooden front doors of the manor house?
Well, I'm sure my little friend would let me know if there's anything amiss in whether I'm walking around or not. So,
Yeah. And so you climb out of the vehicle and you follow Alexander silently as he ascends the 5 steps in front of the door and reaches for a golden door knocker. And you notice that the golden door knocker is in the shape of a serpent's head. He pulls it back and lets it go. Knock! 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 There's silence for a few moments, and then a click from the other side of the door, and then the doors creak open. On the other side is a man. On the other side is a short, balding man in a tight white suit. He gives you the vibe of a butler or servant, and when he smiles, beaming at Alexander and at you, you see no fangs in his mouth. He's not a vampire. Oh, yes, he says. And this must be Ms. Ashford. He thrusts out a hand.
Good afternoon. And I'll shake his hand because I'm respectful to all waitstaff.
He nods and smiles and gushes as you curtsy to him. He says, I am Orson Forrest, and I am the Baron's servant, faithful servant and companion. That is to say, the Baron has been expecting you. Lead on, says Alexander, and dispense with the babbling, if you please. Oh, yes, of course. Follow me.
Before
Awesome.
before we release hands, I'm going to put my other hand on top of his. I'm just going to be like, nice meeting you.
Seems to come as a genuine surprise to him. He gasps, stops, and does a little jump on the spot. And then he whirls around smiling and nodding. Yes, of course. And a great pleasure to meet you too, my lady. The Baron shall be most pleased with your arrival. Yes.
She's just giggling, and then follows.
He leads you and Alexander through the doorway into a grand entrance hall. The marble floor is polished to a mirror sheen. There's a long red carpet that winds through the marble columns and up a winding staircase. You're expecting to be taken up the staircase, but Orson leads you past it to another ornately carved wooden door at the back of the room. He leans forward and raps on it with a knuckle, and then pushes it open, admitting you and Alexander into a beautifully furnished living room. There's an ornately carved wooden box on a table in the center of the room that catches your attention. And standing next to it, a statuette of a man in flowing gold robes at the head of a jackal. Paintings and tapestries on the wall depict unks, serpents, and what look like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. And there, sitting in a high-backed chair, staring out of a window at the back room, is who must surely be Prince Wild. You can't see his face, but his hand is draped over the arm of the chair. His fingernails are immaculately manicured, and his well-built body yearns to break free from a very expensive-looking, figure-hugging white suit. When he realizes that you're finally here, he looks away from the window, turns, and faces you. And you find yourself face to face with an incredibly handsome man with neatly parted black hair, eagle-like eyes, and a square jaw. That white suit he's wearing seems to accentuate all of the parts of his body, every contour of his muscles, of his shoulder, of his chest, and around his neck he wears on a gold chain a long Egyptian ankh. And I'm putting a picture of him in Owlbear Rodeo so you can see what he looks like.
Ooh, sight for sore eyes, I see.
They are here, my lord, says Orson, as he takes a step back and bows. Baron Wild raises a hand and silently gestures for the mortal to leave, and he does so, flashing you a smile as he backs out of the room and pulls the door
Bye-bye,
shut
darling.
behind him. So, says Baron Wild, you are Emmeline's progeny.
Apparently, according to you guys.
Evelina Ashford, unless I'm mistaken.
Indeed. Nice to
He
make
looks
of
you
your
up and
acquaintance, sir.
it's nice to see that you know your manners, he says, as he looks you up and down. Not that we are. Not that manners mean so much here. I like to dispense with the formalities personally, he says. We are anarchs here in this city. We are not Camarilla. We do not stand by attention and status and station, but it is always nice to see new blood understanding that there are bigger fish,
Been aren't there?
as there always are. I am Sebastian Wilde, he says, throwing his arms wide as if to embrace you. But he doesn't. He doesn't move off the chair. He says, I am, through a series of circumstances and coincidences, the current Baron of this city. That means that I am the one chiefly responsible for seeing to the night-to-night running of this domain. I am the one who ensures that all disputes are solved. I am the one who ensures that every vampire in this city has claim to domain, and that everybody gets a fair go. And part of that is making sure that any new arrivals in our domain understand that there are rules that must be followed. He flashes you a smile, and as he does, I'd like you to go ahead and make for me a...
Ow.
I'd like you to go ahead and make a composure plus wits roll, please.
With the hunger?
With the hunger dice, please.
Sorry, my mouse seems to have disappeared on me. One sec. Wits and composure, you said?
Wits and composure.
Oh, that's 6. That's plenty.
Definitely what Evelina's good at.
So I have 3 black dots, a red dot, and 2 of the black knife thingies.
Well, yep, that's, so the unks...
It says 2 success, so...
Yeah, 2 successes. So if it's a messy crit, it'll usually tell you. So
Okay.
this is not a messy crit. This is just 2 successes. Well, I'll give you a choice here. If you would like to, you may strike off a willpower and re-roll up to 3 of those dice, because 2 successes will not beat his 4 successes.
Oh, they will not.
Or you can simply take it as it is.
I'll take it as it is because he's bigger than me anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm complaining that he's bigger than me.
As he smiles, as he beams at you and winks, the light from the nearby chandelier seems to catch him in such a way that he looks almost angelic, his white skin vibrant and radiant, and for a split second you find yourself convinced that you can trust this man with anything. He's peering down at you in the same way a father would peer down lovingly at a daughter, as he beckons for you to come closer, and he says, "Let me get a good look at you." There's a moment of resistance in the back of your mind, but then it's pushed away by the certainty that you can trust this man, and you find yourself stepping forwards, kneeling before him, without even being conscious of it.
As if I wanted to take a better look at him.
And that too. And indeed, you've got a great look at him from here. He's framed just perfectly in the light of the chandelier, and quite honestly, if you saw this man when you were not a vampire, even then you would have an inkling that there must be something supernatural about him, because no human could be this radiant, this beautiful.
It's not like I'm complaining about it.
"Tell me, Miss Ashford," he says, as one of his fingers strokes your chin.
Ooh.
"Do you understand about the rules?"
I have been told some of them. But are
Tell
you
me
in
of...
those rules as well?
I am the one. You will not need to worry about me if you follow the rules,
Oh, I'm
he
not
says.
talking about the normal rules, sir.
At this, he looks over your shoulder at Alexander, meets his gaze, and smiles. And how many dots in insight do you have?
One sec. 2.
2. That's enough to get the impression, as he once again peers down into your face, that you're like putty in his hands, that you're doing exactly what he expected you to do. And once again, you get that feeling that this man can do no wrong, that if you prove yourself to him, he will fight for you. He will do the right thing by you.
Oh, I hope he doesn't.
He smiles once again, flashing his pearly white teeth, and he says, "You're very eager to prove that you can be a valuable member of our community, are you not? I can see it there in your face, the keenness, the yearning to endear yourself to me.
Keen for something. Indeed.
And of course, what sort of baron would I be if I did not reward the loyalty of those who I am ostensibly ruling over? Not that I consider myself of higher status than any other kindred in this city, but I believe in this domain. It is loyalty, it is the bonds of friendship that bind us together, and that is what separates us from the likes of Melbourne and Adelaide, places where elders decree and youngsters follow. I do not wish for our relationship to be like that. I wish for our relationship to be one of equals, where you do favors for me, not because I asked it of you, but because you trust me.
Am I
And
able to
because
stand
I
up?
trust you. Sorry?
Am I able to stand up?
Yeah, you can. In fact, at this point, he invites you, making a hand motion for you to stand.
And I definitely do, but extra closely.
Tell me, Miss Ashford, he says, once again leaning back into his chair, crossing his arms. We have brought you before us. We have provided you a place to sleep. We have taught you how to survive when, in any other city, the prince of the Camarilla would have had your head dashed against the stones, had you staked, and had you destroyed. I have given you a gesture of good faith, and so I must ask, do you trust me?
There's not really much of a choice, though, is there? I'm alive.
No, I suppose there isn't much of a choice, he says, but as I said, I do not wish to rule with fear. I wish to inspire loyalty and camaraderie, and so I ask again. If I ask something of you, will you trust that it is for the greater good, and will you perform that action without question, without asking? Will you do your best to show that you are willing to contribute to our community?
I will do my best on whatever you ask me to do.
Hmm. Even if you wanted to say otherwise, you don't think you could, because you're captivated by this man, entranced by him, and in this moment, he could ask you to do anything, and you have a feeling you'd probably agree to it.
Oh, he definitely could ask me to do anything.
He looks over your shoulder. Alexander, he says, leave us. Alexander shoulders his axe and turns and leaves, and as he stands in the doorway, he says, I'll be waiting in the car. And then he pulls it shut behind him, leaving you alone with the Baron. Tell me, he says, what do you know of the circumstances of your creation. You understand what you are, that you are a kindred, but what do you know about why?
Uh, lady left the area. She's in trouble. She wants to leave some chaos behind.
Well, you're quite, if not informed, at least observant. He says, there is a vampire by the name of Emmeline, and until recently, she was one of my most trusted confidants. An anarch with no equal, a pillar of this community, he says. But alas, in recent months, there have been eyes set on this city from outsiders, from elders of the Camarilla who would intrude on our domain, undermine my influence, and enforce their way of life, their rules, their strict, rigid traditions over all of the vampires here. And part of this is that they have been doing their very best to subvert some of my faithful companions to their cause. They have offered them status and domain, have promised them that when the Camarilla ousts me and takes over this city, when an elder prince sits in this chair, that they will have power and prestige and domain of their own. This is a lie. The Camarilla would never offer such things to fledglings, but there are some in this city who do not understand how good they have it, and they've been conspiring with my enemies. And I believe your sire, Emmeline, is one of these conspirators. She knew that I was getting close to figuring out what she was up to, and she decided to
Run away.
flee, run away, leave with a bang, as they say, leaving as much disruption and trouble behind her as she could. And the way she accomplished that was by selecting the daughter of one of the most influential, powerful mortals in this city and gifting her with the curse of vampirism. It was, I believe, her hope that you would immediately give in to your frenzy, break into the nightclub, rend people in two, indulge the new powers that had been bestowed upon you, but you restrained yourself. She was not expecting that. And one of my operatives, Father Simon, was already on the scene and was able to find you before things could get bad.
Well, I wouldn't really call this a curse. I'm having a lot of fun so far.
Indeed, it is not a curse at all. It is a gift from the gods. He says, you may have heard Father Simon talk in terms of the Lord and holy gifts and all that, and he is true to some degree. The blood of gods flows through your veins now. Where Emmeline sought to damn you, instead she handed you the very tools that you would need to help me strike back against her.
Well, then she made quite a big mistake then, didn't she?
Indeed, for this is what I am going to ask of you, says the Baron, leaning in, smiling, touching the tip of his tongue to his lip.
I also lean in.
I am going to ask you to return to the place of your embrace, to enter the nightclub that until last night was Emmeline's domain, and pick up her trail. Find out where she went, where she is hiding, so that Alexander out there, he gestures a thumb towards the door, may dispose of her. Will you agree to help us to that end?
I'll pull my hand up and run my hand down the side of his face and go, no problem.
He purrs and smiles, just as I thought. You catch on fast. I think you will be a valuable addition to our fine anarch community, and very worthy of the gift that you have been granted. Tell me, do you know of the origin of the vampire's gift? Are you aware of the magnitude of what now flows through your veins?
Not exactly, but I'm more than happy to learn.
Then I shall tell you that a long time ago, before living memory, there were two brothers, Set and Osiris. He gestures around him at the Egyptian hieroglyphics on the walls. Osiris sought to become a god, and despite the fact that his brother Set had worked hard, had done everything that was asked of him, Osiris did not grant Set the rewards that he was due. And so, in righteous jealousy, Set struck down his brother Osiris. And for that, the old gods granted him their gift, and he became the first of our kind. My direct ancestor. My blood flows, my veins harbor his blood, given to me from my sire, given to him from his sire, and so on, until we get back to Set. And that is the sort of lineage that you are now a part of. Thousands of years of fate and destiny, of grudges, of jealousy, of triumph, of victories, of petty feuds and grand conquests, and you are the end result. So you can see the gift is precious. And so when I say a vampire must be destroyed, it is not something I say lightly. It weighs heavily on my heart. And so I hope you will appreciate the magnitude of what I'm saying. If your sire is to be destroyed, how dire the situation must be. I am counting on you.
Well, one betrayer shouldn't really exist anyway.
She will have alerted her servants, her allies, her mortal retainers that I would be sending someone to investigate her, pick up her trail. And so if I were to send Alexander or any other known anarch to the nightclub, her allies would alert her. However, you are an unknown quantity. You have walked this life for a single night thus far, and you should be able to get inside that nightclub and find what we are looking for without anybody being none the wiser.
Well, let's be fair, it's also quite a smart choice, considering that she also may be looking for the person who she just turned.
My belief that she will not be there anymore. If she's there and she sees you, well, yes, things could get complicated, but I believe the only ones there to notice your arrival will be her mortal retainers, and they may not have yet been alerted as to your presence, your appearance, what to expect. And I'd also consider this an act of good faith. You will be proving that your allegiance is to me and not to those who seek to destroy us. And, well, she has already created you and given you the tools to strike her down. I feel it is appropriate that after she is dispatched, you can simply take over her nightclub, make it your own domain. I'm sure you would like that very much.
Oh, indeed, darling.
You can't spend the rest of eternity in that old manor house with your father. You deserve a domain befitting your name and station. And
Well, I
a
wouldn't
place
mind
that
having
people
both
come to
either.
celebrate. I think they would complement each other, indeed, he says. a grand place to call home and a place to hold court where the mortals come and dance and celebrate, and you have your pick of them.
And pick I will.
Now then, he says, we have reached an agreement. I'll leave you to it. He flashes a smile. Alexander, he calls. The door opens, and once again Alexander shuffles in, his hand on the handle of his hatchet. He says, if Miss Ashford is ready, I will ask you to take her to the auditorium, please, so that she may begin her investigations.
Oh,
Alexander nods. Are there any last questions you have for me, Miss Ashford?
not a
Says the Baron.
question, more of a request.
And what would that be?
Well, considering one of your ex-fellow vampires kind of did this and destroyed this lovely dress, is there any way you would happen to have anything that I could possibly change into? It's a bit messy.
But of course, he says. He claps his hand. Awesome, awesome. And the stumpy little man shuffles into the room with a collection of dresses and pants and various outfits of different colors and styles, neatly folded on a silver platter in front of him. He bends down, kneels in front of you, and proffers the tray, and says, "Hey, any of these would look wonderful on you, my lady."
I'm also going to call my bat in, and just start looking through the dresses.
You look around for your bat, but it doesn't seem to be here. You're sure it will rejoin you when you leave, so in the meantime, you pick through the dresses, and is there a particular style of fashion, a particular outfit that you would like to pick out?
Are you able to describe what the choices are, or is it just up to imagination?
Now, let's say, as you sort through the pile, you find an old black British Victorian dress, something straight out of an 1890s period piece. It's probably the closest to what you'd normally wear. The rest are a selection of, for now, 1992, trendy outfits. Tight leggings
Oh,
and jeans, glimmering, sparkling cocktail dresses, and the like.
those are
You
definitely
find it
not
all
my
quite
thing.
gaudy, to be honest. So
Yeah,
gauche.
yeah. I'm gonna go with the older one. More of my style.
The dress from the pile, and then the Baron directs you to a small antechamber. You step inside, pull the door shut, and in this tiny room that contains nothing more than a mirror and a single couch and a window that looks out onto the night sky, you climb into the new outfit. You examine yourself in the mirror and you think this'll do. It's not that different to what you usually wear. A bit less gothic, perhaps, but
It'll do.
archaic by the standards of most people today, nonetheless. Grand, imposing, flowing. You'll certainly catch eyes in this dress, you think.
I fold up my old one and be like, at least it's better than the old, dirty, ruined one.
And so you step out once again into the Baron's room. He looks you up and down, and then he winks and he says, I think you will catch the eyes of all on the dance floor in that.
I would hope so. It's definitely different from what they wear today.
Yes, yes. True, but, well, we have gifts that the mortals do not, so I believe it shall be easy for you to get inside that nightclub without undue attention. We'll see.
Oh, but
Are
I
there any more
like the
questions?
attention.
Attention is good, the Baron agrees, but too much of anything can be a bad thing. Remember, you may do as you please. You may handle this as you wish, so long as you have something to present to me at the end of it. I shall not care what you do to obtain the information, to be honest.
No problem, sir.
But remember the masquerade, he says, raising a finger.
Don't tell the
That
mortals what we are.
He winks and nods. Precisely. Alexander gestures for you to follow. You give one last look at the Baron, perhaps giving him a little curtsy as you're ushered out of the room. And then, about half an hour later, the antique car is pulling up on the curb of that main street in downtown Buckley. It's no longer Labor Day, but you can still see the aftermath of last night's celebration. Australia flags and Eureka flags hanging in store windows, trash strewn on the street. The nightclubs and bars open and pumping, still filled with revelers, drunk and off their face on a variety of different substances. It's not Labor Day anymore, but it is the weekend, and they're making the most of it.
Did my bat end up coming with us, or is it
Yes,
still at the house?
I will say, as the car winds down the drive, I actually completely forgot. I skipped over the scene I was going to do, but as the car is driving down the driveway, you feel the car slow. And through the rear view mirror, you see the unmistakable black leathery shape of your bat. You lean over and wind down the window as he slides into the car and perches on your shoulder and looks you in the eye. And you watch through his eyes as he circles the Baron's manor, a bird's eye view of the grand house with all of its spires, the grand estate, the hedge maze in the back, the glimmering, inky black water of Barnong Lake. And as he passes over it, you see something interesting. A wooden cellar door at the very back of the manor house, a thick iron padlock wrapped around it, securing it, and lying beside it, a plastic barrel topped, overflowing with what appear to be wooden stakes.
Interesting. You're such a good boy. And I gave him a little scratch.
Find yourself suddenly glad that you said or did exactly, apparently, what the Baron wanted you to do. For that cellar door and the bucket of stakes next to it leave no doubt in your mind that when vampires are brought to the Baron's house, when they are brought before him, it's not guaranteed that they'll ever leave. And this makes you even keener to prove yourself to him, to show him that you are an ally and not an enemy.
Indeed.
The car slides to a stop at the curb in front of a bar that's so packed that there's people lining up in front of the door down the street, playfully shoving each other, laughing, knocking back stubbies, pre-gaming before they're even in the establishment. Alexander kills the engine, and then he looks over at you, and he asks, "Will you be okay on your own? I'm here to help if you need me."
Oh, cool. I'll send my bat if I need you, and I'll run my hand down his leg.
He shudders again. "Then I shall be on the lookout for your bat." And as you raise yourself from the seat and open the door, his eyes linger on the bat that's still sitting on your shoulder. He says, "Speaking of your bat, will you be taking him along with you? I expect you would draw much attention if you did."
Oh, he'll be just flying around, making sure that everything is safe.
"Then I shall be waiting for him. Best of luck, he says, and if you need me, you need only call. He touches his fingers to the handle of his axe and smiles with an obvious relish, anticipating the chance to get to use it to cut somebody down.
I bet you could use that axe in some way, shape, or form, and then I'll leave.
Shut the door behind you, leaving him watching you speechlessly, and as you step out into the street, immediately you feel the gaze of several people. First of all, noticing your rather bizarre attire, whispering amongst themselves, leaning in, sniggering. And then a woman dressed in bright pink leggings and a day-glow vest points at the bat on your shoulder. She leans into her group of friends and says something, and they giggle and laugh as you walk past.
I just walk straight past.
Paying them no mind. You are, of course, used to this. Every time you go out on the town, even before you were a vampire, you were quite used to people whispering, sniggering, laughing at what they consider to be completely bizarre way of dressing. Joke's on them, you think. You look down at the woman's day-glow clothing with contempt. At least you're not wearing... At least you don't look like a piece of bubblegum, you think.
Oh. Is it like tight fitting?
She's out clubbing.
So,
It's the
yeah.
90s. She
Probably.
she's got her boobs hanging out of the vest, and her leggings are perhaps a bit too short and reveal a bit of her navel, and it looks rather trashy in your opinion.
Oh, at least it doesn't look like. At least I don't look like I'm wrapped in clean wrap.
You say this to it.
Sure.
Instantly, she stops laughing. Her mouth hangs open, and she says, "You, what the fuck did you?"
Okay,
Her
Miss
friend,
Bubblegum, and I walk away.
oh, you hear her say, and then hear her friends laugh, half laughing at you and your weirdness, and half laughing at her and her embarrassment. Watch out! You hear one of them whisper, "Cross her, and she might have her servants bury you under the family mausoleum up at Adams Manor."
Oh, she can cross me any day. And I wink at him.
"Have a good night, Morticia." One of them waves, and then they turn away from you, giggling as they push through the doors into the bar.
Hey, that's my mother's name.
Continue walking down the street until finally you reach your destination. There, the alleyway, where it all began. You can see the dumpster where you left the man. You can see the same empty cigarette boxes and empty beer bottles lying on the ground. The alleyway still papered with filth. The only difference is that there's now blue and white police tape over the mouth of the alleyway, and somebody has left a small pile of flowers and candles in front of it.
Oh, whoops.
Feel a slight tinge of guilt in the back of your mind, but it's quickly washed away by the voice of the beast. "It was for the greater good. He
Indeed.
died so that you may live."
To be fair, his girlfriend was also pretty hot too.
A shame she had to be separated from him so soon. And yet, despite this moment of sober reflection, the street itself doesn't really seem to care that a tragedy unfolded here. Mere meters away, from that alleyway where you had your first terrible meal is the auditorium, the nightclub where your quarry once hid. Pop music thrums from this grand, if a little bit shabby, old heritage building. Stone steps lead up to a shaded colonnade where boisterous groups of young people queue for the club and bouncers methodically process the customers. As you approach it, you feel yet again more eyes upon you. One of the bouncers at the top of the staircase silently watches you approach, but he doesn't say anything. Do you join the line and wait to be admitted?
Oh,
Or do you
heck
find
no.
another way?
I'm just gonna walk straight past everyone.
You push through the line, knocking, shoulder checking people, bumping them out of the way. Most of the people don't even notice that you're pushing in line. Most of them are standing, goggling at the long black dress, the bat, the live bat on your shoulder. And then finally, you reach the end of the line, reach that same bouncer who was eyeing you, and hearing the whispers from behind you. What the fuck is she wearing? Is that a bat? Who the fuck brings a bat to... Oh, I should call the hospital. I think they got an escaped mental patient. The bouncer cracks his knuckles, looks down at you, towering over you. He's incredibly tall, 6 foot, at least 6.5 feet. His muscles are so large that you think one of his arms is probably the girth of your entire body. He holds an old mobile phone in his right hand, and in his left hand, a clipboard and a piece of paper pinned to it. He narrows his eyes and he says, "Sorry, love. Dress code."
Dress code? What type of dress code are you talking about?
He gestures to the other people in the line, and you look around, you see yet more people who look like they're wrapped in candy wrappers.
Really? You're going to let them in, but not me? They're skanky.
It's a Labor Day long weekend, he says. People don't want their mellows harsh. You've got an atmosphere in there that we got to keep going. And I don't know if you've noticed, love, but you seem to attract attention.
Isn't that the point of wearing something different? I'll just get slightly closer to him.
Slightly closer to him, just close enough that you're not brushing against him, but he can almost feel the tips. He can almost feel you on the tips of his body hairs. There's energy pulsing between you and him without the two of you touching. And he looks into your eyes, and he shrugs, and he says, "Unless you're offering to make an arrangement for special payment to get on, or you're on somebody's list, I gotta turn you away. Sorry, love. Love to let you in and all, but more than me job's worth."
I'll run my hand down his arm and be like, what type of payment are you asking for?
Go ahead and make me a charisma plus subterfuge check, please. And
With the hunger?
With the hunger. I was just gonna say. Excuse me.
Four successes. 1 hunger.
4 successes. But none of them are criticals, so it's not a messy crit. You hear the beasts rumbling in the back of your mind. Why are we doing this song and dance? Push him out of the way! Rip him apart!
I ignore it.
You ignore it, you silence it, and as your fingers roll down the man's body, you feel him tense up and shiver. Behind you, people are still staring, still whispering. But they're quieter now, unsure of what exactly is going to happen. You hear some woman lean into her boyfriend and say, "Yeah, look, Look at all the trouble we had to go to, and all she has to do is fuck her way in. The bouncer smiles and he says, well, maybe. Maybe if you let me buy you a drink later, maybe I can put your name on this list here. Have you let you in? One of my guests?
Pull my hand around and rub it down the front of his shirt. Pull it tightly. No problem.
He laughs nervously and then pulls himself away. He steps aside, gesturing for you to step through the door behind him, and as soon as you step past him, you hear him clear his throat. Okay, who's next? You, chick in the blue there, gonna need to see an ID. And then you step into the nightclub. The main floor is flooded with people dancing, drinking, kissing, and carousing. It's alive with light and sound. A few privileged club rats dance in the old private boxes on the second floor above you that look down onto the dance floor. There's a bar behind the dance floor, and you can see a single bored-looking bartender look up as you enter. But his gaze doesn't linger for more than a second. Here in the nightclub, there's so much activity, so much sensory information bombarding everyone at all times that even you, with a bat on your shoulder, wearing a Victorian Gothic dress, are able to move without getting more than a quick glance as you move past people. Your bat, on the other hand, fidgets. You feel him moving on your shoulder, clearly unsettled by the loud music, the bass, the smells of sweat and desperation.
I'm gonna go to the bar.
As you make your way to the bar, you have to cross the dance floor. You step down onto it. The music is loud. You can feel the bass. Each note is like a fist punching your face. And it's at this point that your bat lets out a great shriek, spreads his wings, and prepares to fly, to flee for an open window, a door, some way to get out of here.
Oh,
And as the
cover
bat,
his
as the
ears.
bat, gonna try to calm him.
Yeah, I'll cover his ears.
As the bat begins to shriek, ee, ee, people stop dancing, turn to stare at you, lean in and begin to whisper. You hear someone mention the word RSPCA. You're beginning to make a scene unless you calm him down, so go ahead and make me a charisma plus animal ken check.
Okay.
And I'll remind you that if you're ever in a bind and think you need some extra dice in your pool, you may do a blood surge, which means you rouse the blood and you get to add 2 extra dice to the pool.
I got 2 success anyway.
2 success?
Mm-hmm.
2 successes? You stroke the bat's head with your finger. He calms for a brief second, and then he begins flapping his wings. You feel his talons dig into the fabric of your dress, into your skin. He begins to cheep louder. Ee! Ee! At this point, people are starting to gather around. The DJ looks up from the record table. There's a record scratch, and the music begins to quieten.
I'm just gonna be like, do you guys want to see something cool?
They stare at you, goggle-eyed. The DJ calls out, "This ain't a fucking zoo, miss!"
I'm gonna have the bat fly around the DJ and then leave the room.
With 2 successes, I'll allow you to do that. You whisper something to the bat. It cheeps one more time and then lifts off your shoulder, zooming towards the DJ, looking like it's going to cling right to his face. He raises his hands and screams just as the bat at the last moment rises upwards, flaps its wings, hovering over the dance floor, and then flits through an open window out into the night sky.
Good boy. And I'm just gonna continue
Uh,
back to the bar.
uh, yeah, says the DJ. Look, I'm gonna have to. At this point, the bouncer, who stepped into the bar, clears his throat and says, "She's on my list." Of course she's on your fucking list, says
Thank
the
you, buddy.
DJ. Always, always say never put your dick in crazy, and every fucking time he has to bring someone in.
Would you
Get
like
the
the
music,
crazy also?
where's the fucking music, calls someone, and then with that, it's back on. The bass is pounding, everyone's dancing as if nothing happened.
Perfect.
You make your way to the bar. There's no one else there. All of the stools are empty. As you approach, there's a blonde-haired woman who thanks the bartender, silently nodding as she grabs a vodka cruiser from his hand and then gives you a dirty look as she turns and descends back to the dance floor. You
Before she
slide into.
leaves, I'm just
Yep.
gonna be like, "Oh, hi, lovely. How are you going?" And I'm gonna sit down.
This seems to. Well, this seems to shock her, really. She opens her mouth to sneer at your outfit, and then as you draw close to her, ask her how she is, her mouth clamps shut, her face goes white, and she shuffles away.
Oh, no need to be nervous.
The bartender, a bored-looking man in his 30s with a long, bushy brown beard, leans over the bar. Ah, making quite a scene, aren't you? But hey, ain't for me to criticize what people are wearing. I just pour the drinks. What's your poison, love?
Anything you have to offer.
Anything, he says.
Surprise
Oh,
me.
well, that's a weird request, he says. But I think I got what you need. He disappears under the counter, and you hear him rifling through glasses and bottles, and then after a few minutes, he emerges. He slides a wine glass down onto the bar in front of you, filled with something deep red.
Perfect.
At first, you think it's blood, and the beast almost wells up with excitement, and then, as you raise it to your lips, you smell not blood, wine. Very rich, very expensive wine. And he's watching you, waiting expectantly to see what you think of it. You haven't been a vampire very long, Avelina, but you know that drinking wine is not going to agree with your undead metabolism unless you'd like to do a rouse check to activate what we call the Blush of Life. This is an ability that every vampire has. It causes colour to flush into their faces so that they don't look as sickly and pale, but more importantly, it allows them to consume food or drink and keep it down. Ordinarily, if you were to consume this wine, you would immediately projectile vomit it all over him.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, make a rouse check for me then.
Success.
Success. You stay at hunger 1. You take a sip of the wine. You've had blood. This means nothing to you now. It has no taste whatsoever.
Not as
You
fancy as
swallow.
my daddy's wine.
Oh, you like it? He says, I'm glad. The boss had us stock it. Said there would be certain guests who would like it, but no one ever orders it. It's not when it's $30 a glass.
It's okay. I'm not losing out on money anyway.
But then I saw you in that dress. I saw that thing you did with the bat, and I thought, well, shit, if I didn't know any better, I'd think you were the boss's sister or daughter or something, because, you know, not to speak ill of your employer or anything, but, the boss is, got a couple eccentricities, and, well, when you said surprise me, I thought, now, if there's gonna be anything here in this bar that she'd drink, it's gonna be this.
Oh,
He slams the bottle onto the bar, and you can see the label proclaims that this wine is from the year 1958. It is over 30 years old and likely very expensive.
oh, it's perfect then, ain't it?
It's definitely not the type of thing you'd expect to find
In a nightclub,
in
definitely
a
not.
nightclub. And with your 2 dots in insight, I will tell you that this tells you that you're in the right place, and furthermore, that stocking a vintage like this, the boss probably expected to entertain wealthy, influential clients.
Where is the boss anyway? Is she around?
Yeah, she ain't in tonight, he says.
Oh,
She's,
such a shame.
She hasn't been in for a couple nights, actually, come to think of it, he says, stroking his beard.
Hmm.
So, so you are one of the boss's acquaintances then?
Not exactly.
Oh, I was gonna say, because if she was expecting to meet somebody, she'd have let me know, and she'd have been in her office waiting, you know. She hasn't been in tonight, she hasn't been in last night, she's left orders over the phone, but her office is empty, no one's been in there, and we're all sort of waiting to hear from her, otherwise we're all running around here like headless chooks.
Well, that's unfortunate. You can't just leave your place of business unattended, can you? It's so irresponsible.
Far be it from me to criticize my own boss, but I sort of agree with you. If I had a pumping place like this, I wouldn't be letting it languish. I'd be there doing my best to endear myself to people, to make these customers regulars. You know what I mean?
Indeed, sir. Indeed.
So anyway, that'll be $30 and 90 cents. As you slide the money over the counter, he takes it, he briefly counts it, and then ka-ching,
I've
puts it
left
in
a
the
little
cash
bit.
register.
I've left a little bit of a tip in there for you, darling. Because you're
Oh,
just gorgeous.
how much of a tip did you give him?
Like $10.
Yeah, he sees the extra $10 note and he smiles. He says, very nice of you. I'd like you. How many dots in assets do you have? Oh, wait, you don't have dots in assets. Weird, that's something we haven't done yet. Don't worry, we'll do that later. For now, I'd like you to go ahead and make me a composure plus performance check. Because right now, you're acting like a big shot.
Yeah. Not really, though, am I?
Well, you're the heir to a vast family fortune, but your father's not really the type to let you splash money around.
All success.
Success.
So all 4.
Oh, 4 successes. Very nice. He slides the $10 note into his breast pocket, and he says, all right, look, you've been up front with me. I'll be up front with you. I can see it on your face. You got business with the boss. Now, she ain't here, but maybe I can help you.
You can help me as well.
Sort of help you're looking for, is the question.
I wink at him.
Maybe, look, I'm still on shift for another 2 hours, but maybe afterwards if you'd like to... Or maybe, he looks over his shoulder down a long corridor that leads into the staff-only sections of the club to where you know his boss's office must be. He says, maybe, look, if that's what you're looking for, maybe I could be convinced to get away for a moment or two.
Definitely.
Go ahead, make me a charisma plus subterfuge roll.
Yeah. Keep hitting the wrong fucking tab. To bring me back into the other one.
How do you think I feel? I've got like 5 books open.
4 successes.
4 successes. You get the impression that this bartender's not used to female attention. Sure, he speaks to women every night. His boss gives him orders and girls come up and order drinks, but nobody ever takes the time to just sit and shoot the shit with him. He's immediately excited as soon as you suggestively glance down the hallway, and he says, "Oh, the only place I can... Surely not in the bathroom."
What about
Look,
the office?
he raises an eyebrow. He says, "Oh, if the boss found out, but..."
I'm gonna put,
Oh,
like, brush my hand down his chest, like the bouncer. Just be like, well, she's not here though, is she?
no, fuck it, she ain't here, he says. Reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a key ring with a silver key on it. He says, this'll get you in. If you'd like to go and get comfortable, I've got a couple more things I need to do, but I can go on Smoko in 20 minutes.
We'll see you in
And I'll
there
meet you
then,
there.
darling.
You give him a wink, and then you stand up and leave, making your way past the bar, into the dimly lit hallway, making your way past what must surely be the bathroom based on the smell of ammonia, bleach, and urine that emanates from under this shabby door, and beyond it to the office. The single office. A rust-flecked metal door at the end of the hallway with a single little placard reading, "Staff only." You fish the key out of your pocket, insert it into the lock, and turn. Click! And then you slowly push the door open, making sure to keep an eye on your surroundings. Satisfied that the coast is clear, you slip inside and quickly shut the door. The office is, well, it's not the sort of place you'd ever meet anyone for a romantic rendezvous. It's very cramped. There's barely enough room for you to stand in amongst the several desks, piles of cardboard boxes, folded chairs and tables from the bar. The office is dark, unlit.
Oh, I have a perfect thing for that though, don't I?
You sure do. Rather than trying to turn on the lights and alerting anyone outside that someone's in the office, you have Eyes of the Beast, do you not?
Indeed.
And it's a level 1 power, so no rouse check needed. You call upon your gifts, the blood rushes through your body, and once again you feel your face around your eyes contort, warp. If anyone were to see you now, they'd see the gleaming eyes of a reptile, of a snake, staring back at them. The tiny bit of ambient light that floods into the room under the door is instantly amplified. You can see exactly what's in the room. Every desk, every box, every corner illuminated in the dull grey haze.
So,
Now that you can see clearly, you have a clear idea which desk belongs to the boss. 2 of the desks are completely bare, barren, shoved in the corners of the room, but the desk at the very back, there's a chair in front of it and piles of paper scattered over the front, open cardboard boxes, and it seems fairly obvious to you that someone was searching this desk and probably had to leave in a hurry.
I'm guessing that's where I should look to see where this little lady's gone.
If you'd like to start, go ahead and roll me either an intelligence or wits plus investigation.
I'll definitely be doing wits because that's my highest.
Yeah.
4 successes.
4
One
successes.
one crit on the black side.
You hear the beast grumble. Waste of time, waste of time.
Oh,
Find
shush you.
someone who knows and rip them apart. Make them tell you. But you force it away, force it into the recesses of your brain as you rifle through the papers and boxes. You're not sure what you're looking for exactly, but you know there has to be something here. Most of the papers are bank statements, lists of transactions. It seems that Emmeline, or whoever runs this place, has been putting quite a lot of money into a construction company by the name of Urban Renewals Co., particularly into a project they're currently working on where they're converting an old cannery on the edge of South Buckley into yet another nightclub.
Hmm.
You're not sure what to make of these. You get the impression that there's something there, but you can't really pick up a trail from that. And that's when, as you're about to shove one of the cardboard boxes back down and turn to leave, that you notice a scrap of paper dropped on the floor underneath the desk. Completely invisible, if not for the fact that your vision is augmented by your blood. The supernatural sight of the vampire spies the shred of paper. You pick it up and unfold it, and I'm going to bring it up in Our Bear Rodeo so that you can actually read it. Looks like it was torn from a larger letter. The yellowing, lined paper is covered in a messy, hasty handwritten scrawl. Would you like to read it for us?
We need to hurry things up. I've got it from reliable sources that the Baron's gonna make a move soon. As in within the next few nights soon. Give me a call when you're secure in the safe house. My monster will send someone to look after you. Make sure you leave those bastards a nasty surprise. Mr. O.
Mr. O. You found it. You know you found it. This is it. This, and all these sheets of paper, these payments into this old cannery, this urban renewal company. You have an idea where that safe house might be, and this is what the Baron wants. You feel the blood move in your body as glee fills your face. And then, as you fold the piece of paper and slide it into the folds of your clothing, you hear the unmistakable sound of the door behind you opening.
Switch the eyes off. Switch the eyes off.
Switch the eyes off. Let's see if there's a roll that needs to be done for Eyes of the Beast. So you have a choice here. No rolls required to turn them off. However, while they're active, the inhuman appearance of the eyes confers two bonus dice to intimidation pools against mortals.
Well, if it's the guy, the bartender, then I don't want to intimidate him.
It's probably him, you think, but you have no way of knowing for certain who's coming through that door until they're already in the room.
I'm going to
until
call
they've
out
already
then.
laid eyes on you.
I'm going to call out before they enter. Is that you, darling?
At this moment, there's a flash in your mind's eye. Once again, you're seeing through the eyes of your bat, hovering somewhere in the street outside, above the nightclub. The bat watches hanging on a power line as a man in a black suit steps from the mouth of the alleyway, looks towards the nightclub and reaches into his pocket. You see him reveal the butt of a pistol And then he pulls his jacket over it and steps through an employee entrance into the nightclub.
Ooh.
The voice comes from the other side of the door. It's Wilkins.
Wilkins? I think whoever you're looking for isn't here. I apologize. I'm waiting for the bartender to come and treat me to a entertaining time.
The door slides open, revealing the same man that your bat spotted outside. You knew it was him, of course. Your bat forewarned you, and you have a split second to decide what you'd like to do as he opens the door. Would you like to hide? Would you like to turn off your eyes of the beast?
Turn off the eyes.
Would you like to overpower him?
Turn off the eyes.
You have just enough forewarning to turn the power off. As he opens the door, he finds himself face to face not with a monster, but with a woman. A woman standing in the middle of a pitch black room, however, I'll point out.
I'm going to pretend like I'm getting ready for someone in particular to be in this room.
Go ahead, make me a charisma or composure plus performance check.
Composure. Because then at least I have a little bit extra. 2 successes.
2 successes. I'm going to roll for him to see if he can see through. You quickly busy yourself, fixing your hair, adjusting your dress, making it look like you're preparing for a rendezvous. You whirl around to face him and gasp in faux surprise. Oh, I was waiting for the bartender, you say. He raises an eyebrow, reaches into his coat, and...
You can ask him if you want. Go ahead.
As you say this, sturdy-faced, he draws the pistol, raises it towards you. You're not Emmeline, he says.
Obviously not. I was asked to come in here by the bartender. You can go and ask him.
The bartender's under strict orders not to let anyone into this room. Anyone who'd want to get in here has designs on Emmeline.
What are you talking about? He wanted to have sex. He's coming in here and... Sorry, how long has it been?
He's due in like a couple minutes.
He's gonna be in here like in a few minutes. You can even ask.
His finger tightens on the trigger. I know what you are, he says. I'm gonna put you down. You're determined to stall him. If the bartender comes through the door, then he'll know.
I'm going just to yell out. I'm gonna yell out for the bartender.
This man's got a gun trained on you. Sure you want to call out?
Well, considering the bartender knows I'm in here.
Yeah.
He's like...
He's not quite sure what he's expecting. His finger tightens on the trigger, the gun shakes in his hand. What he's certainly not expecting is for you to just lean back on the desk and call out, "Hey, what's taking so long?" And then you hear footsteps shuffling from the other side of the door, and sure enough, the doorknob turns. The door opens and in steps the bartender, and as soon as he sees you sitting there on the desk, as soon as he sees this man, Wilkins, his gun raised and trained on you, his mouth drops open in a surprised, "Oh." He begins to back away, back towards the door, raising his hands. He says, "Oh, I didn't mean any trouble. Wilkins looks over his shoulder at him. He says, "You don't know what you're dealing with. Get out of here and leave it to me."
He literally asked me to come in here. He wanted sex. Come on, man. That's all I wanted.
What
What's a
she
free
said,
drink
says
on
the
the
bartender.
house?
Oh, look, we didn't. Look, I didn't think the boss would be in. I didn't mean to cause trouble. And go ahead and make me another charisma plus subterfuge check. Let's see if you can sell this. Let's see if you can stall this guy for just long enough for the bartender to vouch for you.
3 successes.
3 successes. His gun still trained on you. The man raises an eyebrow. He peers over at the bartender and he says, Boss leaves you with orders not to let anyone in. And you want to fuck someone in here? Like I said, I didn't think there was going to be any trouble, he says, his hand still raised. Look, boss ain't in. No one was going to be in the office. Going to be in and out, in and out. Yeah, you would be in and out, he says. I've heard it only takes you 3 fucking minutes.
I really wanted him to be in and out.
And this seems to be enough. As the bartender begins to walk towards you, a look of utter confusion and puzzlement still on his face, the man lowers his gun for just a second. And that's when you hear the beast in the back of your mind shout, "Now!"
Resist, because the bartender's still in the room.
Resist?
Yeah.
All you nothing. You resist. And sure enough, the bartender grabs you by the waist, pulls you up to your feet, and looks into your eyes. And then he looks over his shoulder at Wilkins, at the security guard, who is still very obviously confused, still not entirely buying it.
I'm going to kiss the bartender and then afterwards look at the security guard and just say, "Would you like to join also, or are you just gonna watch?"
Your lips touch his. And as he you cut off whatever he was about to say. It just turns into And as you wrap your arms around him, you look over his shoulder, look into the eyes of the puzzled security guard, and you ask him, "Do you want to join in?" He says, standing in place, his gun now hanging uselessly by his side. And then his free hand reaches into his pocket, pulls out a phone, and he says, "The boss has to know. Boss has to know."
Come on, come and join in then. No one has to know.
Go ahead and make me, for the last time, a charisma subterfuge check. You must beat his 4 successes.
Oh shit.
Perhaps you'd like to rouse the blood to make it even more effective.
Yeah, I think I will for this one. What does that one give me? 2 extra, was it?
Yep, 2 extra, but you must do a rouse check first.
Okay. 7, so it's success.
Don't get hungrier, so at hunger 1, nice. Go ahead, make me the charisma plus subterfuge check. Don't forget to add your hunger dice.
5 successes, 1 crit on the black.
1 crit on the black, no crits on the red though.
No.
So you're in the clear. There's something supernatural about the way you say it, the way your voice hangs on the air, and you're sure that if you had tried this when you were human, if you had tried to seduce one man while simultaneously kissing another one, while one of these men has a gun trained on you no less, that you'd have either been laughed at or ended up very hurt, but there's something in your voice that he cannot resist.
Come on then.
His hand lowers the phone, sliding it back into his pocket. And then he looks at the bartender as if asking him silently if this is okay. The bartender mumbles something, gestures with his hand, and the security guard steps up And as he wraps his arm around your shoulder, you see his neck right in front of you, the blood pulsing through his veins. Thump, 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 with each heartbeat. But you're only a little bit hungry. It's fairly easy to resist if you want to.
I'll resist because there's two here and I can't deal with two right now. There's too many people.
Yeah. One of them starts to get a bit handsy. You feel him groping as he pushes you down onto the desk, and this is when you decide you've had enough. You have to get out of here. Would you like to use your cloud memory?
Yeah.
You first whisper it lovingly into the bartender's ear. Forget. And then, as you stand up and step towards the security guard, as he opens his arms wide to embrace you, you look him in the eyes and whisper,
Oh, wait. No, that worked out really well. The other guy's not gonna fucking remember. I'm gonna bite this fucker.
there you go. Yes, purrs the beast. Yes, take it. Take it.
I'm gonna
take
kiss
it
his neck
all.
gently. And be like, hope you like this.
Fangs pierce the skin. The blood begins to flow, sweet, ooh, intoxicating down your throat. And he falls limp in your arms, groans in ecstasy, as with
Lick and
each beat of his
forget.
heart.
I don't want to kill him.
You don't want to kill him?
No.
So, you're currently at hunger
One.
1, I believe. Well, you can't go to hunger 0 without killing someone, but
Oh,
I
shit.
will allow you. So if you want to go to hunger 0, you'll have to go further. Otherwise, if you'd like to just take a little bit, I'll make it so you automatically pass the next rouse check you do.
Just a little bit.
You sip, and the beast purrs, and in its contentment, it urges you to take more and more and more. But the hunger is manageable. The pangs of hunger nowhere near as powerful as they were last night. And finally, when you're done, you pull your fangs away, lick
Forget.
the hole, it seals shut, and then you whisper, forget, as he falls back onto the desk, gasping in ecstasy. His eyes glaze over, and you turn and leave the room.
Thank you
Is there
for the
anything else
night,
you think?
boys.
You pull the door shut. And a few minutes later, you're making your way back up to the ancient car, where Alexander Pierce waits expectantly, watching you through the wound-down driver's window. As you approach the car, you hear a flutter of wings. You look up and see your bat, alight from a power line, flitter down and land in its usual spot on your shoulder. Alexander leans out of the window with an eyebrow raised. Ah, didn't take you too long. Find anything?
Well, my lovely bat here, Lunarla, let me know that someone was entering, but luckily enough, I still managed to grab this, and I'll pull the little note out. There's a warehouse that the lovely lady is converting.
Takes the shred of paper. His eyes narrow as he reads it. He opens his mouth and bares his razor-sharp teeth. I know where this is, he says. She's been putting money into this place for months now. And someone from the other side's been working with her. I bet she had this in the works for a while. She thinks she'll be safe there. Safe in their little project until they send people to collect her and get her out of town. But we've got her. He says, if we go there right now, she's dead to rights.
Let's go then. I'll put my hands on his shoulder and run it down his hand. To his hands, sorry, English.
As you slide into the car, he watches you carefully. And then he frowns. He says, just so you know, this is your sire we're going after.
I know. But she had no right to turn me, did she?
Right you are, he says. Well, look. This note says she's going to have someone there to look after her. A nasty surprise. So probably ain't just going to be her waiting at the warehouse. Look. If you're her progeny, and I know what clan you are, I know you're Zamisi.
Indeed.
And I know that those of your blood, when they need to, can make themselves something ferocious. If I can't handle her on my own, if this axe ain't enough, can I count on you to back me up?
As an act of demonstration, I'll turn my hand into my knife.
I'd normally ask for a rouse check, but I promised you pass the next one you make for free. So as the car speeds up, screams past the nightclubs and bars, and soon the bustling entertainment district disappears and starts to be gradually replaced with industrial wasteland, old warehouses, run down factories, remnants of a bygone era. You slowly shift your hand, your fingers wedge together, your nails lengthen into long talons, and soon enough, where your left hand was, there's a long, wickedly curved barb. Alexander takes his eyes off the road for just a second, just long enough to see it, and then he nods in approval. And I suppose you'll task Lunala, was it?
Yes.
With making sure we're not running into an ambush?
Definitely.
Catch on fast, he says, slams his foot on the pedal, and the car lurches forward, speeding up. Your bat's called Lunarla, is it?
Lunala, the chat named her that.
Ah, well, that member of chat would probably be amused to know that in an alternate universe, you probably could have met a cat and called it Solgaleo.
The bread was the one to thank us for that one.
And so we move to the climax. The cannery. It's down in South Buckley, where the CBD meets the suburbs. South Buckley is the oldest part of Buckley. Back in the gold rush, South Buckley was Buckley. And when the gold rush ended and the city started to industrialize, this is where its economy was based. Once upon a time, this was a center of manufacturing. This is where factories churned out products. This is where the city's lifeblood flowed. But since then, with the recession in the early 90s, with the gold rush being centuries past, it's languished. None of the factories operate anymore. They've all begun to wear away, to buckle in on themselves, and now South Buckley is little more than an expanse of urban decay, where those too poor to live in other parts of the city eke out their existences in flats converted out of old warehouses and factories, parking their cars in the shadow of great smokestacks and silos. And this is where your sire hides. What are your thoughts as you silently watch the old factories speed past, as you contemplate Alexander, the look of resolve on his face, hunched over the wheel, knowing that in just a few minutes, what started last night will be brought to an end, that someone will die, either you or her. What thoughts flood through your mind?
Oh, what a shitty rundown old building. Why would someone want to live here, out of all places? Come on. She has the money. Why here? And
Your kind definitely prefer better accommodations, says Alexander. I don't expect she intended to be here for very long, just a place to hide out for a couple of nights, until the Camarilla sent for her.
oh, it didn't exactly work out well now, did it? And I'll be winding down my window while I do this to send Lunala out.
Go ahead as the car comes to a stop in a weed-choked empty lot, a block away from the cannery itself. Go ahead and make me a charisma plus animal ken check.
One success.
One success. You watch as you release Lunala through the open window as he spreads his wings and disappears into the dark night. You close your eyes and watch. You see the cannery, the run-down factory beneath you. Old slate grey walls, graffiti tagged by dozens of would-be artists. The yard around the cannery is deserted. On the building's facade, though, there's wild, explosive colour. Colour bold, vivacious, shocking, explodes from the blank grey canvas. The urban renewal in progress. The outsides of the cannery are abandoned, lifeless. But as the bat completes a second loop around the lot, it catches something in the corner of its eye, senses movement. And there, kneeling, curled, in the shadow cast by the building itself, standing watch over the front entrance, the only entrance that's accessible, all of the others being boarded up, is a dog. A mangy black dog, almost the size of a pony, with long, carnivorous teeth and angry, hungry red eyes. Its fur is so dark, so deep black, that lying there in the shadow, almost invisible. But now, as you hear Lunala emerge from the darkness and feel him return to the car, feel him take root back on your shoulder, you know that guard dog is there, waiting to ambush you.
Let me tell our friend that.
Say anything? Says Alexander.
A nasty looking dog.
A dog? What, big, black?
Long teeth, red eyes.
A ghoul, he says. Like your Lunala. No doubt Emmeline's got it under strict orders. As soon as it detects anyone approaching the cannery, either to run to alert her, or to attack. Hard to say. She's your sire, what do you think she's got it doing?
Probably to run to her, because when we were in the nightclub, she had a lot of people working there, and apparently lots of people coming in and out.
So either
But then
way,
again, if it was threatened, I bet it would attack.
of course.
I wonder if
That
it would
dog-
run off, though.
If it's Gould, I don't expect it'd be easy to scare off. If we're gonna fight it, we'll have to dispatch it.
Not
says.
scare. How about
Well, we could
chase?
Chase? You mean give the dog something to chase? If
Exactly.
it runs off, we slip inside? Bob's your
Exactly.
uncle.
Now, my bat can fly. Dogs can't.
Normal dogs can't, he says, raising a finger. You're dealing with a Zamisi. For all we know, she's given that thing bloody wings.
It didn't look like it had wings.
Did not. Well,
Well, what would
I
you
I
rather
mean,
do? Would you rather fight the puppy?
if it were up to me. If it were up to me, my axe here would make short work of that dog and its master inside. But what I don't want is I don't want her to know we're coming. And if we have to fight that dog, she'll know. She'll hear it barking. She'll see through its eyes. She'll know that we're after her, and she'll see me. And that's when she'll know she's fucked, and that's gonna make things more difficult. He shrugs. Look, ain't no skin off my back if your bat gets ripped to shreds, so
Oh, it will be.
if you think your bat can outrun that monster, he leans back in the seat. Feel free. And as soon as the dog's out of the way, we bash open those doors, we get inside, and we fuck her up before she can do anything else.
I'm sure the bat will be fine. They're pretty speedy animals. Heck, how many laps of this building do they do in a couple of minutes?
Yeah, couple. It's a fairly large block, so you know that the bat is fast, but that dog was unusually large and mean. It was almost the size of a pony, and in your mind's eye, you can imagine it taking these great leaping bounds. You've no doubt it can cover a lot of ground if it wants to.
The further away, the better, but bat can fly.
It sure can.
Oh, but do I risk that?
See Alexander fingering the hilt of his hatchet, excited, his eyes gleaming at the prospect of very soon being able to dismember someone.
Well, to be fair, it's the only entrance. Even if we do kill the dog, where the fuck is she gonna go?
True, he says, but you don't know. She's been putting money into this place for months. Could be. He peers out the window. He sees the half-finished mural on the wall. Doesn't look like they've been putting much work into the building itself. Could be she's got a secret passage.
Okay, I'll send the bat in, but if it gets hurt, it's on your back.
As if you'd be able to do anything about it, darling.
I'll run my hand down his leg and be like, really?
He pulls away from you and then violently stands up, pushing the door open. He trudges across the weed-choked concrete, and then he says, "You coming or what?"
I'll follow.
You draw nearer to the cannery. You don't emerge onto the lot, not where you know that dog would see you. Instead, you stand on the edge of the empty lot, peering through the chain link fence at it, studying it. All of the windows are boarded up. There's an employee door around the back, but that's boarded up too. The only accessible entryway are the double wooden doors at the front, and there, in the shadows cast by the alcove, is where you know the dog waits. You turn to Lunala. Distract, you order her. You order him. He unfurls his wings, chitters, and takes flight. Go ahead and make a Charisma plus Animal Ken roll. And I would say perhaps you would like to rouse the blood on this one to get those 2 extra dice,
Yeah.
knowing what you're dealing with.
Another pass. I rolled a 7 again.
Still at Hunger 1, nice.
I get
Alright,
lucky
go
on
ahead.
that one.
Charisma plus Animal Ken.
3 success, all black, one crit on the black as well.
Nice.
3 total.
3 total. 3 against the dog's 2 successes. You lose sight of your bat as soon as it ascends. It's covered in a cloak of darkness, disappears behind a smokestack. You can hear it, but you can't see it. And then, a split second later, you see the darkness shift at the foot of the building as the dog unfurls, stretches his legs, and stands. And, ooh, this dog is huge. You're not sure. You know Alexander's confident, but you're not quite sure he'd be able to handle this dog on his own. Which is just as well as immediately the dog lets out a loud bark. Its eyes gleam red and it takes a great leaping bound forwards, chasing a flittering dark shape in the sky, running so fast and with so much force that when it reaches the chain link fence on the opposite side of the lot, it continues bounding through it, warping the fence under its weight. And then it disappears into the maze of industrial decay beyond, chasing Lunala, unaware that it will never be able to catch him.
Fuck yeah.
Now, says Alexander, pulling the axe out of its hilt and charging towards the cannery, his heavy boots making loud crunching sounds with each footfall. He's moving so fast with so much purpose that you can swear you can feel the earth tremble underfoot with each step he takes. "We're coming for you, Emmeline!" he shouts as he ascends the stairs to the front door, raises the axe, and with a earth-shattering crash, cuts them away with his woodcutter's axe, turning these grand wooden doors into matchwood with a single decisive blow. He steps into the darkness on the other side. "Now! Back me up! Try to find her! She'll be hiding!"
I'll turn on the night vision, because I'm assuming it's probably going to be dark in there.
Sure is. And she's your sire, so she can do it too.
Which is
You
fine.
follow Alexander through the splintered door into the cannery. The inside is a big open square area. There's some old machinery in the center of the room, rusted, so old that it looks like it's fused to the floor. But there doesn't look like there's many other hiding spots aside from that. It's a big open room, and the only other door you can see is a door that's closed up a small flight of metal stairs at the back that leads to a foreman's office that overlooks the factory floor. There's a single window there looking out from that room. The blinds are pulled and the lights are off. Alexander stops. His gaze shifts between the foreman's office and the old machinery. "Where do you think she is?"
Can you repeat the room for me?
It's a big open square-shaped room, and in the middle, there's some old factory equipment. It looks like it's big enough that someone would be able to crouch behind it. That could be one hiding spot. The only other place is the foreman's office, up a small flight of stairs. And that little office is off in a corner, the blinds are pulled, the lights are off. Alexander sniffs the air. I can smell her, but where is she?
I doubt she'll be on the main floor. So I'm gonna go to the foreman's office.
Follows you. You can hear his footfalls behind you. And as you approach the office, I'd like you to go ahead and make a wits awareness check for me, please. He doesn't get to make this because he can't see in the dark, but you can.
Two success, one crit on black.
Ooh, 2 success. 3 successes altogether?
No, just the 2.
Just the 2? 2? Are you happy with that?
Not exactly, but...
Would you like to spend a willpower to re-roll?
Sure.
Still down some willpower from last session, but after this session, you'll get all your willpower back, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. keep hitting the wrong tab. Ooh.
How did we go after the willpower reroll?
Eee.
Better or worse?
It's not much better. It's one better. It's one.
3 successes?
Yeah.
3 successes meets her 3 successes. Nobody wins the roll.
Oh.
So what happens is, as you make your way to the rickety metal staircase that leads up to the foreman's office, you pass by the machinery. You gaze up at the foreman's office, at the blinds tightly drawn, and it occurs to you that this foreman's office, yeah, it gives you a good view of the floor, of the main factory floor, but there's just the one entrance. A single door in and out. It's a tiny room, cramped. It wouldn't be a good place to fight. And you realize at the last moment you've made a mistake as you sense movement somewhere behind the rusted machinery. You whirl around just in time to see her. Emmeline, your sire. But there's little of her that looks human anymore. Her hair is completely gone, leaving an elongated, bald head that makes you think of a grey alien from an old sci-fi movie. Her eyes are wide, black like almonds, able to see perfectly in the dark, and her body is small, slender, silent. As she rushes towards you, raising her arm, extending a talon identical to your own, you whirl around and meet her with yours, and the two of you slash each other at exactly the same time. Blood is drawn, dropping onto the concrete, and you deal a point of damage to her, and she deals a point of damage to you. Me, child! She roars as she bends her slender knees, raises the talon, and her gaze shifts between you and Alexander as she prepares to defend herself. Come to me, child! But you've made the wrong choice! You and I together. You have potent blood!
I think you are the one who's made the wrong choice here, darling. You chose me.
Camarilla would give you anything you desire, she says.
I roll my eyes. Now why would a powerful person give little munchkins power? That seems a bit irresponsible, don't you think?
I'll show you who's a little munchkin, she says, as she chooses her target and rushes forwards, raising her talon to bring it down on you. What do you do?
I will dodge to the right and then hit her in the side with the talon.
Go ahead, make me a strength plus brawl check, and she'll make one of her own.
Oh, shit. Can I re-roll with the will?
You sure can, as long as you've got willpower left.
I do, luckily. Oh, it's being weird. One sec. 2 successes. Mine's
Two successes.
one crit on black.
2 successes. You move to dodge, but she's faster than you expected. Her body carefully shaped, her proportions carefully chosen to give her maximum speed and maneuverability. She rushes forwards, a single blur. You've barely had a chance to bend your own knees before you feel her talon tearing through the fabric of your dress, tearing your skin, and she gets 6 successes.
Holy shit, I was never beating
She
that.
critted. She critted. It's possible. It's like the maximum she could possibly get. You're knocked off your feet from the sheer force of the blow. And how many did you get?
One crit, 2 success. So 2 technically total.
So 2 total. So the difference is 4, which means as the talon slashes your torso and blood gushes forth, you take 4 points of damage and are knocked off your feet. So, how much health do you have?
4.
4. And you've... So, I'll tell you what happens. If you ever run out of health, that means you now are taking aggravated damage. You don't die from running out of health. Rather, what it means is when you've taken enough damage to completely deplete your health gauge, it means that you're now in danger of getting seriously hurt. So, are we aggravated yet, or are you still got the health point?
How many damage did she do?
So she dealt 4 with that blow, and you took 1 earlier by meeting, and you dealt 1 to her when you met her.
So that fills my health bar.
So that fills your health bar. So you're now down to aggravated damage, and if your health bar, if you take enough health to exhaust your health bar again, then things will be bad. So there's 2 types of damage in this game: superficial damage and aggravated damage. And until now, you've been taking superficial damage. And if your health bar gets filled out with superficial damage, then you start to take aggravated damage. And if you take enough aggravated damage, you die.
Okay.
So she knocks you off your feet and laughs. Little child, you think you have the power after a single night to best me?
Well, I also have this guy over here.
Then you see Alexander behind her, raising his axe. He charges towards her and brings the axe down, letting out a shout. No, but I do! She whirls around just in time, raising her talon to defend. She manages to roll out of the way, back behind the collapsed machinery, but not before the axe slams into the side of her body. You hear ribs break, you hear her scream in pain as he deals 4 points of damage of his own to her. And with the single point of damage you dealt before, that's enough to knock her down into aggravated as well. You hear her scream as she tumbles somewhere behind the machinery. And then you watch, as in a blur, she springs back up to her feet, darts into the shadows, and laughs again. You think that's all it takes? I have the power of the eldest in my veins! This is your last chance, child! Where do your loyalties lie? And as she shouts this, Alexander raises his axe. He looks over at you, grits his teeth, and he says, do I have to cut you down too?
Come on, you know I'm loyal to you guys.
Didn't think so. And then you hear her scream, catch movement in the corner of your eye, and whirl around to see her once again leaping over one of the factory conveyor belts, talon extended. This time, aiming for Alexander. What do you do?
How close am I to her?
You're close enough that you could hit her if you wanted to. If you're actually able to roll well enough, you could get her.
Then I'll lunge towards her because her back is facing me.
Yeah, or at least her side is.
Which is kind of a mistake.
Yep, she's underestimating you, clearly. She's already knocked you off your feet.
But yeah, of course I'm gonna attack her.
And as she scrambles over the conveyor belt and leaps through the air towards Alexander, she flies right past you, and you snatch the opportunity as he raises his axe ready to swing and defend himself. You burst into action. Go ahead and make me a strength brawl check, but as you're currently in aggravated damage, subtract 1 dice from the pool, please.
Okay. Can I do the thing where it allows me to add the extra 2 dice to it as well?
Sure can. You can make a rouse check and rouse the blood.
Yes, please. Failed on that one, unfortunately.
You go up to hunger 2, but that's okay. You've still got plenty of blood to spend. Still get to add 2 dice to the pool.
It still works out the same way that I would like it to, so...
Her blood is so powerful, whispers the beast. Then perhaps you ought to take it.
6 successes, 2 crits on black.
Ooh, any crits on the reds?
No crit on reds.
Ooh. She flails through the air, and Alexander raises his axe, but he doesn't have the eyes of the beast like you. To him, she's just a misshapen blob in the darkness, and as he brings his axe down, she weaves. The axe blade cuts the air an inch to her left, and she laughs. Baron's fool! As she plunges her talon into his neck. He gasps in pain as she kicks back, kicking him off his feet, and deals 4 points of damage to him. But she doesn't see you springing to your feet, coming up behind her. She's standing, laughing, and as she places a foot on Alexander's chest as she kicks his axe out of his hand with the other and raises the talon, ready to bring it down again, you're on her. She hears your footsteps at the last moment, whirls around, and as she sees you sprinting towards her, throws back her head in laughter. Laughter that's quickly interrupted, laughter that turns into a scream of shock, and then a wince of pain as you land on her, wrapping your arms around her, pulling her to the ground, and sinking your talon deep into her neck, pulling back, ripping away the flesh, revealing the bone and sinew underneath.
Can I bite her?
Rolls. You sure can if you want to.
Yeah, I want to bite.
So, how many successes did you say you got?
6.
6 with crits.
2
her
crits.
2 crits with her. That's to her 3 successes, meaning as you sink your talons into her, you deal 3 points of damage. She gasps, begins to cough up blood, and as blood spurts from the hole in her neck, you feel the beast roar. You're not hungry enough that you're immediately thrown into frenzy. You can compose yourself, but her blood, bright red, streaming, fresh. You can tell just by staring at it that it's leagues beyond anything you'd find in a mortal. The greatest pleasure you could ever have. She screams as the blood gushes out, and then she sees the hunger in your eyes, the longing, and in spite of the pain she's in spite of the fact that she is probably not long for this world, her monstrous mouth twists into a smile. Yes! Yes! Give in! Do you bite her?
Ooh. Ooh. I don't like those words, Dale. Ooh.
Give in, she shouts. Take your birthright, diablerize me!
I don't want a frenzy, but she doesn't deserve to live either.
Well, there are ways to kill her without draining her blood. You can feel her struggling feebly under you. You can feel the point of her talon extracting itself from underneath your body. You have only seconds.
I'm going to
act
sever her
before she
head.
hooks it into you. Sever her head. Take it! Take it! She shouts. And then In the last second, she sees that flash of hunger in your eyes go away. She sees you push the beast into the back of your mind. And she opens her mouth to scream as your talon comes down, digs into her neck, and her screaming stops.
Can I
Her
look
head
over my friend?
rolls. Yeah, you can.
I'm more
Look
worried about
over it.
him.
As her head rolls off the bleeding stump, her eyes roll into the back of their sockets. Her skin begins to putrefy, turn grey. And before your eyes, her body decays. Skin breaks down. Flesh drops off, revealing the skeleton underneath. It takes only a few seconds as you look over at Alexander, as he pulls himself slowly to his feet, feeling around for his axe. He raises it, ready to bring it down.
Wait. It's okay.
He sees a skeleton lying at his feet. Bones of someone dead for decades.
She's gone.
He lowers the axe. You killed her.
Yeah, sorry.
And you didn't drink. You had her blood coursing in front of you. I could smell it. The beast in my brain was telling me to stand, to force myself to my feet and take her. She was calling for you to take it, and yet... He watches you, curious. You didn't.
Didn't feel it was right.
There's silence for a moment as the two of you stare down at the now crumbling skeleton. And then he nods. The Baron will be pleased. Did you know it is a great sin to drink a fellow vampire?
No, but it still didn't. She told me to take it, to give in. I'm not one to give in. That's not me. She made the mistake saying those words.
Diablerie, it is called. He says, sure, it is fine to sip a vampire's blood. I could give you a sip of mine, you could give me a sip of yours, and there would be no harm. But to drink another vampire's life force, to drain them until there is nothing left, it is an assault on the very soul. And of course she wanted you to do it, for had you done it, you would have marked yourself as a pariah. For it is the greatest sin a vampire can commit. And I would have had no choice but to cut you down.
Glad I fucking resisted then, eh?
He nods, and in spite of himself, smiles, revealing once again his long, sharp teeth. You've exhibited more control over your beast than many vampires 10 times your age. You have potent blood, and yet, tonight I witnessed control. The Baron was right to trust you, he says. And you've shown tonight that you trust him.
Well, he gave me a place where this lady forced me into it.
He takes one last look at the skeleton at your feet, and then he spits a fleck of blood onto the bones. Good riddance. And you've well earned your place. Come, my child. For you have proven yourself. And now eternity begins. He
I'm
holds
guessing we
out
go
his
back
hand.
to the Baron now.
Of course. He nods. and he will be most pleased. He holds out his hand.
I'll take his hand.
Take his hand and walk with him. And the two of you walk away into the shadows, into the mist of time. And that is how Evelina Ashford earned her place among the vampires of Buckley. That is how she became a creature such as we. We will end it there.
Thank you, Dale.
1992 is swept away with the times. In our main campaign, it's currently 2022, 30 years past. 30 years in which confused fledglings fall into the routine of their lives and find their place in vampire society. To reflect that passage of time, you receive 15 experience points. And, as promised, the Baron bestows upon you the Auditorium nightclub.
Heck yeah.
It and all who revel within, all who work within, are your domain. And no vampire may feed in the nightclub without your permission.
Hey, I get a pet vet. I get a pet bartender.
You sure?
Oh, I really want to roleplay being able to talk to him and be like, hey, I own the place now.
And so, to represent that, I would like you to go ahead right now and add 2 dots of contacts to your character sheet.
Where would that go?
So that would go in the advantages background section. So go ahead, add contacts, and label it nightclub. Contacts nightclub.
There's 2.
Yep, 2 dots.
Okay, cool.
And so you have your domain. You are now a true vampire. You have your family's ancestral home as your haven, the staff there, your herd, who you can feed from at any time. They know your true nature, and that's your dark secret. But you also have the nightclub. It's not a safe place to sleep during the day. It is not a haven, but it's a place where you can feed without worrying about stepping on others' toes, and perhaps more importantly, a major nightclub like that, there's a lot of people who come through, a lot of information, a lot of favors that get exchanged, and that's why it's 2 dots of contact.
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money.
Hey,
in fact,
oh, that's going to be so interesting being able to tell the assholes that keep laughing at
the
me.
place now. Keep laughing at me. I'm the new boss.
Keep laughing and I won't let you in.
30 years from now, everyone will always think that you were the boss. But there will be those who whisper in hushed tones, tell stories about that time 30 years ago when that bizarre Wednesday Addams-looking girl with the bat on her shoulder came into the nightclub, caused a disturbance, and got laughed out of the place, and then came back the very next night, slammed her fist down on the counter, and made it known to all in attendance that this was her show now.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed your first nights as a vampire.
Fuck yeah, I did. Oh, I can't wait to be able to continue.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, our next session with the group is on Wednesday.
And
It's
it's
not long.
going to get
That's
live
only
streamed. 5
1,
days?
2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's only 5 days away. Except it's during the day. It's not at the same time it is now. But yeah, they're going. We'll introduce you to them. will have you appear and describe yourself, because they're doing stuff for the Baron currently in the game, and the Baron will call them up and he'll say, I have something for you to do. And then he'll say, I have someone who has proven that she can find people. And then he will introduce you. And they've probably seen your face a few times. 30 years is not a long time for vampires, but in 30 years, you're all anarchs. You've probably seen each other's faces at various points in your night-to-night business, but this will be the first time when Evelina and the rest of the coterie finally get to meet face to face and introduce themselves.
Chat is saying poor bartender.
Poor bartender. Well, he has to live with the fact that for the next 30 years all of his co-workers will be, laughing behind his back about the only reason he has that job is because the boss has a thing for him.
Fuck the boss.
Yeah.
Oh.
They'll never let him live that down.
No, they won't.
And he doesn't even remember.
No, he doesn't. At least not most of it, because on the way out I did say thank you.
Yeah, he's just gonna be like, well, I don't think we did anything, but true, we were in the room together, and that's enough for the co-workers. That's enough for them to be like, ah.
Oh, that's so funny.
So that is how Evelina Ashford came into her own. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.
I'm pretty sure they had fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. You definitely sounded like you were having fun.
They've made comments along the way that I haven't been able to actually respond to. Probably I've been talking in the Twitch chat.
Wow. That means you have PR awaiting that you must address.
Indeed.
It's nearly midnight here, so I will leave you. No, I will leave you no longer. I will go. But I'm glad you enjoyed the session, and I can't wait to have you in the group with the proper campaign, because you really get into this game. I'm really enjoying seeing you get into it, and this game really shines when people are getting into their characters.
It's a lot different from our D&D games, eh?
Definitely. I don't think we'd be doing well. There's the stereotype of the bard flirting with the bartender in D&D, but I think we did. I think in this game that has quite a different implication.
Yeah, I get to suck people's blood.
You're not just doing it because you're being a shitty, annoying bard. You're doing it because you're a vampire and you have a job to do.
I like my job. I now own a nightclub, which is a
Yes.
lot of work, and I'm going to make my bartender so proud.
Are you gonna revamp the
nightclub
over the 30
yeah, I
years
am.
and turn it into this super gothic, everything's black drapes and gargoyles everywhere, and
I'm gonna have a motif of the fucking bat behind the bar.
Yeah, bat tapestries everywhere and bat gargoyles up on the walls. It's everything's dark, black light everywhere, and the dress code. Well, you didn't violate the dress code because that is now the dress code.
And no one can say shit.
No one can say shit. You were just technically you're a trendsetter because all everyone knows is that within a few weeks of that weird gothic chick forcing her way into the nightclub, suddenly everyone in the nightclub was dressing that way.
It was the best nightclub on the street now.
Much to the chagrin of all the people wrapped in gum wrappers.
Yeah, well, I want to know what happened to the girl who wrapped up in bright pink gum.
Well, she probably had to find another place in town to party because the next time she turned up at the auditorium, she found that someone had painted the front of the building black, that there were bat gargoyles all over the entrance, and the bouncer promptly turned her away and said, "The boss has orders, and nobody in anything as gauche as that will be allowed in." which left Evelina feeling very vindicated.
I'm also in every one of my employees' pants, apparently.
Technically, at least that's the rumor that's going around, but no one really has any memory of it, so it's sort of
Well,
unfounded.
the bouncer does.
Yeah, well, the bouncer does.
He owes
You
me a
never gave.
drink.
He does, and he bought you a drink, and you drank it, and then nothing else came of it. In fact, you took a drink from him afterwards.
Oh.
Because, you know, when a vampire asks you to buy them a drink, that does not mean they want to have sex with you. Vampires have no use for that. That just means they want a drink, and they want your blood. That was a lot of fun. So thanks for playing. Thank you everyone for listening in. And if you're interested in what happens to Avelina next, feel free to join us on Wednesday or head over to my YouTube channel or my Spotify channel and you can catch up on all the episodes we've done of this campaign so far.
Indeed.
Evelina is not in any of the ones we've done so far, but she will be.
We will be in the future.
I'm off, everyone. Good night.
Night, night,
And remember,
Dale.
night, night. Remember, the kindred are always watching. See you, friends.
Bye bye. Oh, that was such a fun session, guys. I probably won't stick around. I'll probably just sit here and talk to you guys for a bit. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if guys, what else should we do to the bar? We can dress it up as much as we'd like, and we also need to change the name. So, heck yeah, we get to do so much shit. Because I can't really change my parents' house. But we can have as much customization as we want to this bar. Oh my god. Darling, it's gonna be gothic. Look at Wednesday Addams. Imagine her. Oh. Sorry if it was a little bit of a sussy session. My character is just that though. Like that's all we're going to be in these sessions is just the sussiest of susses. We'll overtake Maya in the sussies. Just because of this game. And DW, you did ask before what is VTM? It's called Vampire of the Masquerade. It's kind of like a D&D session, but slightly different. Hey! There's a reason why I made this character. Because I don't show that side. And I love this character. She's amazing. We definitely spent a lot of time actually. If you look at the biography that's currently on the screen, you can see how much fucking backstory I put into her. She is a lovely, lovely lady. Who loves getting into people's pants just to suck their blood. Oh, I'm glad you guys had fun. If there's anyone you guys would like to raid, I'm more than happy to pick someone who you guys want to go to. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to continue because after this, I have a lot of rigging that I still need to do to this model. And I have some things to fix up on her. Because over the last few streams, I have noticed that there are things off. You guys may not have, but I have. So, yeah. I can't raid myself. I'm sorry. I don't think that's a thing I can do. Let's see. Oh, is she already actually streaming right now? Oh shit, he is. We'll see, Brad. We'll see. My dinner has been sitting next to me this entire time, and I haven't been able to fucking touch it. So I'm definitely going to be eating dinner while working on my stuff on my computer. Oh, actually, wait 1 second. Let me message our good friend Orange, and we'll see what he's up to. Never. Never. Yeah. I'm drinking his blood. Mommy vampire. Oh, it's okay. That shit happens. It looks like he's offline, so I guess no more extra stream for today because we did a lot of time yesterday. We streamed a lot yesterday. Extra proof. Hey, Bread. I'm pretty sure Bread really, really liked this. So. You're not wrong. I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm glad you had fun. There's not really many opportunities for me to actually be able to, you know, talk like this in a fucking D&D session. Well, close to somewhat of a D&D session. Because obviously it's not D&D, but I always refer it to as like somewhat like D&D. Because in any of my D&D sessions that I'm in, English is breaking. Jesus Christ. It's very much my characters are shy and just want to hide behind the scenes. Oh. Why are you shushing him? Tell us. Tell us why. Why must they shush? Why must they shush? Wow. Okay. I'll raid Shio just because he is streaming. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys next time. We love you. I may or may not be in the voice chat later. We'll see. But shit happens. I have shit to do. So, unfortunately, it may end up just not being happening. But, as a reminder, this weekend, we will be watching the Fallout series. Not every episode, but some of them over in the Discord. It's going to be fun. Bring your popcorn, bring your candy, your soft drink, whatever you want. And we'll just sit down and enjoy the series, okay? I love you all. And thank you for the raid message, Brad. You're amazing. Heck yeah. Okay, guys. We love you. Bye-bye.